What's going on YouTube? This is Marcus, and in today's video we're going to talk a little bit about the rules that make up my financial philosophy. I mean, a lot of people probably wonder or ask, hey, what do you consider your financial philosophy? Are you a minimalist? Are you one of those high-speed FIRE, financial independence and retire early guy? So, well, I'm definitely not a minimalist. I mean, just up front, I like stuff. I like traveling. I like stuff. I actually like stuff more than I like traveling. Like, for Christmas, don't get me a trip nowhere. I don't want to go nowhere. Get me some stuff so I can enjoy on a trip down the road when I do go on a trip. But that being said, I do believe that you can enjoy, the money that you make while you are here. You can't take it with you, but you can do so in a way that's fiscally conservative and fiscally responsible. And so we're going to go over the 5 principles that really make up my financial philosophy. If you follow these 5 principles, you'll definitely be in a good position to win with money. I mean, if you just look at the average statistics, the average individual doesn't have enough money in the bank. I believe it's 50% of the population doesn't have enough money in the bank to cover a $1,000 emergency. If you look at what the average person who reaches the age of 60 has in retirement, you would think, it would be a number that's pretty substantial, but it's less than, I think, $60,000 was the number that I saw when I looked up and did some open source research. So following these rules will definitely put you on a path to having and securing financial freedom, but it does offer you some leverage so you can enjoy some things and don't have to eat solely beans and rice. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Number 5. Avoid unsecured consumer debt. Essentially, unsecured debt is credit cards, department store cards, those things that you get that aren't secured by interest in an actual piece of property like a car or a house. So you want to try to avoid unsecured debt. Now, I will tell you, I'm not a person who's completely anti-credit. I think credit and credit cards can be useful if you're actually responsible enough to use them. I'll tell you, I have several credit cards. I think this year I maybe used 15 or 16% of my credit limit. But you want to have something that's manageable. Moving forward, I'm going to maintain a zero balance on those cards because I really just don't plan on using them again. I think credit, though, is beneficial. I personally would not advise anyone to, after they pay their credit card off, to close it out. Closing out your credit card could have a negative impact on your credit, and I think having good credit is essential when you want to acquire appreciating assets, such as potentially getting a rental property, or even close out the credit cards if you're disciplined enough to pay them off and just not use them. There's definitely nothing wrong with using credit to acquire appreciating properties, appreciating assets that could be considered investment and make you money and increase your net worth. Number 4 is I always get the employer match. A lot of schools of financial philosophy adhere to the principle of if you have debt, you shouldn't be investing. However, I'll tell you with my personal philosophy is if you're in a position where you have a surplus of income, even if it's only a little bit, you should definitely take advantage of the employer match. Compounding interest is one of the most beautiful tools that you'll ever see. Anybody who's been investing, if you take a look at your portfolio in the month of November and the first few days of December, I mean, it's just been amazing. It's been a great ride. Hopefully it continues. That's not wood, but I'm going to knock on it anyway. But definitely always get the employer match. Any money that's left on the table, don't let that free money go to waste. You have to get it as free money. If you give 5%, they'll match 5%, so essentially 10% of your income is being invested. Definitely a deal you can't pass up the free money. Now, I will tell you, if you're in an unfortunate position where you don't have excess income at the end of the month, in that situation, then I think you're in a little bit different position where you really don't need to worry about the employer match because you want to make sure you can take care of all of the essentials and find ways to increase your income and address the income so that you could be in a potential position to take advantage of any employer match down the road. Number 3, no payments on anything should be higher than your rent or investment property monthly payments. And so essentially what that means is if I have let's say I had a car payment that was $500 a month, but I contribute $300 a month to my 401k, that's wrong. You always want to be in a position where, again, your investments should be the second highest payment that you make monthly to anything if you're in a position to do so. So I have my primary residence, which is probably number one. Then I have a rental property, which is probably number two. Then number three on my list of how my percentage of my income is allocated is what I invest. Like you shouldn't have a car payment that's $800, but you only contribute $300 a month to your 401k or to your Roth IRA. It's just, I mean, that's just working backwards. So you definitely don't want to do that. Now let's go ahead and take a look at number two. Number two is funding your emergency fund. Now let me tell you a little bit about my philosophy on emergency fund. I don't believe, and as a lot of you probably aware, I don't believe in that concept of a $1,000 starter emergency fund, because I would actually pay to have a $1,000 emergencies, because it seems like all my emergencies cost more than $1,000. So with that being said, again, if you're in a position where you have a surplus at the end of the month, your philosophy for an emergency fund, it should be a continuous amount that you invest every month to reach a 3 or 6 month emergency fund threshold. That should be the standard for having your emergency fund. So the emergency fund is essentially an ongoing thing if you don't have 3 to 4 months of actual income. Now, again, the situation may be different if individuals experience an income problem, they don't have surplus at the end of the month. If you don't have surplus at the end of the month, again, you have to address the income. Again, like I talked about in other videos, this was a practicing attorney who drove Uber, who worked at a call center, so you have to do what you have to do to put yourself in a position to have excess income. And once you have excess income, you can have that emergency fund and start allocating a certain portion of your income every month until you reach that 3 to 6 month goal. If you have no surplus income at the end of the month, what you want to do is, now that's a situation where a $1,000 emergency fund is a perfect rule. At least at a minimum have $1,000. But if you have a surplus every month of $600, $700, $800, you should consistently be contributing something to that emergency fund to get you to that 3 to 6 month goal. And the number one thing that you have to do in order to win with money, based on my financial philosophy, is just budget. I'll tell you, I have a budget that I keep for my rental properties. I have a budget that I keep for my personal finances, and I have a budget that I keep and a portfolio that I keep to track my investments as well. I think, having a budget gives you that roadmap and sets some guidance and a groundwork so you can know what's going in, what's coming in, what's going out, what you have allocated to spend on certain things. So those are really the top 5 things that I use to make up my philosophy. Again, I'm not a minimalist, but I'm definitely not a maximalist either. That's not even a word. But yeah, I'm definitely not a minimalist. I do believe that you should enjoy some of the things that you work hard for, but you have to plan, budget it out. If you follow those 5 things that I laid out, it'll put you in a good position to win with money. Again, if you don't have excess income at the end of the month, these 5 steps could be a little bit difficult. So what you want to do is make sure you can address your income problem and find creative ways to make additional income. I appreciate you all tuning in. Like, subscribe, comment. If you comment, I'll definitely get back to you. And for those of you who subscribed, I appreciate it. Thank you. And I'm working on this editing stuff, so y'all are going to get all of these little snapshots and all of these little word displays and intros coming up in the next few weeks until I figure out what I like and I guess what's best received by you all. Most of it is going to be me sitting here. A lot of it is going to be just the talking head model that I have here, but I am going to try to clean it up and make the presentation a little bit better for the audience, for my subscribers. So I appreciate it. Y'all take care. Peace.